They were peaceful. I just saw this on Facebook today. Somebody sent this to me from someone's Facebook account. Barbara Davis says, well, Lavoy Finnicum's body is home now. I'm absolutely sickened. It was shot 9 times. And we had the FBI agent said, well, you know, how many times did you guys shoot at Lavoy and the car? Oh, I would say it's in single digits. Well, they shot Lavoy 9 times. There will be no open casket. The FBI shot him in the face. Right after it happened, I put out a call for the serial number off the 9mm gun, the pistol the FBI claims that he had in his pocket. The Pacific Patriots Network just sent me an email back. The 9mm came back stolen 2 years ago. The FBI planted the gun on him, serial number 54119868. You need to look that up. He had his own gun. Lavoy Finnicum is not the kind of guy who'd be going around in black markets buying an illegal gun. He had perfectly good rights to own his own gun. He left his own gun back at the refuge center. So that looks very suspicious to me. There's another riddle here, and that's the riddle of the riddled car. Why won't they show us the number of shots in that car? We'll be right back. And I wanted to finish up with what I was saying about the situation in the Oregon standoff. Joe Biggs and I were there at the end of last week reporting on what was going on. There was an excellent video that went up, and of course I cut my own video looking at analyzing what the FBI had put out along with their commentary about it. The fact that they would give us such incredibly low resolution video shot from above as they're circling around. Many times it was obscured by trees. There was absolutely no sound. They have cameras over everything, and you can see that feed right there as they're looking at it. They have cameras on all their cars. They have cameras on their person. You know that with law enforcement, right? Nevertheless, they give us this incredibly low-res video, so we can't really see what's going on with any detail. Now, one of the things that happened as they were doing this, if you guys can back that up just a little bit, as they were doing this, of course, there's the shooting of Lavoy. As he's coming up to that roadblock, we have another article that's on Infowars.com. We have a retired law enforcement officer talk about this. As you can see, when he came up there to that roadblock, they have created what this retired law enforcement officer said was a deadly roadblock. He said, whenever you put cars in the road and you give the person who is a fleeing occupant, the only alternative is to hit those cars or to go off the road in a dangerous way at a high speed. You're using deadly force. He says you cannot create the exigency, the urgency, if the person that you are following is a known person. They knew exactly who these guys were. They've been following them airily probably since they left the refuge. They were on their way, by the way, to talk to people. The local community was not afraid of them. There were 400 people who had showed up at that meeting. The sheriff, the local sheriff, was set to speak at that meeting. Somebody who has been sympathetic, very sympathetic to the needs of the local community in terms of natural resource management, trying to work with this overbearing federal government to find a way that these people cannot be driven completely into a third world economy. And they have massive unemployment in this area, probably 50% unemployment in this area based on the person that we were talking to. They've put out the logging industry that was so vital there. They have put them out of business. All but one of the milling companies has been closed because the federal government will not even allow them to cut the standing deadwood. They had a massive fire last summer because of that policy. And they won't even let them cut down many of the dead trees that have been burned. If they're over 21 inches, they can't even cut down those trees. So those trees will become fuel for further fires because they would rather have this place burned down than to allow these people to earn a living. So that's one aspect of it. That was the peaceful aspect that the Bundys and Lavoy Finnicum were trying to talk about. But now we have another shooting by the police, excessive use of force. Many of us look at this and believe that that was absolutely unnecessary. And just as we investigate the shootings in urban areas, we should investigate this. But isn't it interesting that we always have the people, if you are opposed to what these people are saying or doing politically, or you don't have any sympathy for that group, you're immediately going to side with the government, say they should be killed. I am absolutely disgusted by the liberals who are calling for a violent resolution to this issue all along and are cheerleading this and are calling for even more violence in this area. Now, what the police officer said, beside the fact that, you cannot use deadly force if you know that these people are not violent, fleeing felons. They knew who they were. They knew exactly where they were going. That's why they set that roadblock up there. That's why they did it in a place where they had no cell phone coverage. They should not have been using deadly force. And that comes even before the discussion as to whether or not Lavoy Finnicum was trying to reach into or under his coat to try to get a weapon that may or may not have been there. Now, there's some other interesting things that this retired police officer points out that I didn't know, didn't think about because I'm not a police officer. He says, when you look at this shooting, you see the one officer who runs out of the roadblock with the gun pointed out at Lavoy Finnicum. He leaves cover. He breaks cover. And he breaks cover and gets behind this car that is supposedly so dangerous that they're going to use lethal force to stop it. And so he gets out there and breaks cover. He's behind the car that supposedly is such a threat to them, exposing himself to being shot by them. Right there. Hold it right there. See, he's standing right there behind the car that Lavoy Finnicum got out of. And I believe, and we've had eyewitness testimony of two women who were in the car, both said that the reason Lavoy took off, they were sitting there at the prior roadblock, a mile or more up the road. The reason they took off was because as a driver, Ryan Payne stuck his hand and his head out of the car. They took a shot at him and hit the side mirror of the car. And that's why when he got out of the car, Lavoy took off. And other people have said that he got out of the car knowing Lavoy Finnicum. He probably got out of the car because he was trying to draw fire away from the people in the car. Once they shot Lavoy Finnicum, then they went after the car. Maybe now it's a danger because they've got eyewitnesses to a murder in there. Maybe that's why they shot it. Now, the other thing that happens coming up at Laurel, okay, stop it right there. That guy who comes up out of the woods right there, he is pointing at Lavoy Finnicum, and he's got his own fellow officers in a crossfire if he misses Lavoy Finnicum. Now, we can't tell when those shots are done because the FBI conveniently doesn't give us any sound on this. But now we know that he's been shot 9 times. Was he, when his hands came down, was that in reaction to being shot? We can't know that because the FBI won't show us that. The FBI lied initially and said 3 shots were fired. Then when they questioned him further, when they released this, the FBI said, well, it would be in the single digits. They put 9 shots in Lavoy Finnicum by himself. And then you can see afterwards with the snow that is hitting the vehicle, they continue with a barrage of shooting at the vehicle, according to the eyewitness testimony. And you can even see it on the video. They're throwing grenades, flash grenades at him, tear gas grenades at the people who are in the car. They never did anything. They never did any shooting. They were known by the law enforcement officers exactly who they were, where they were going. They did not need to resolve this in a violent way. If you are somebody who is an occupier and you hate these people because they're farmers and that, you need to understand that we all need to stand together against the excessive use of force. We cannot tolerate this because you don't agree with somebody politically. It's beyond that.
Most of the InfoWars radio listening audience is aware of the high-quality, affordable firearms available that are made right here in America at hdfirearms.com. One of the most exciting things about hdfirearms.com is the ability to upgrade your AR-15 platform today. They call it their low-profile platform, PVX muzzle brakes, proven to help control muzzle rise. 6061 billet material with Type 3 hard coating. Bolt carrier group for 308 and 556 ARs. Custom Kydex holsters, ideal for concealed carry with .080 thick Kydex to ensure durability. Most competitors' material use .060. Configure yours today at hdfirearms.com. And my favorite, single stage trigger, a home run upgrade for your AR-15 and AR-10 platforms. Find out more at hdfirearms.com today or call 770-485-7015. That's hdfirearms.com or call 770-485-7015.